Hey everyone, and welcome back. Before we begin here today, please make sure that you like and subscribe because it really does help us out over here, and it also helps us reach others in need of assistance with these topics. So what we're going to be covering in today's video is we're going to be looking at algebra, and we are going to be simplifying equations and expressions by combining like terms. And this will be the second part in this series. So whenever you see anything that is saying combine like terms or simplify an expression, all that means is you are going to be adding or subtracting, in this case, terms that are very similar to one another. So for instance, if you had numbers that were just plain numbers with no variable of x, y, or any kind of letter attached to them, for instance, if we had something that looked like this, well, to make this much easier, you would just say 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. Well, that's just 18. Instead of writing out this entire portion multiple times, you would just simplify it down to saying that's a total of 18. Well, the same thing can be done if there are variables attached to these numbers. So if you had 3x plus 4x plus 5x plus 6x, well, you would just bring your variable that is very similar between all of these numbers over here and then add the numbers together, which once again, that would be 18x. And the same thing can be done depending upon if your variable is squared, if it changes its letter format. As long as it is the same or similar, you can combine it. So once again, just bring your variable with whatever power over here on the right side, and then add your numbers together, which again would be 18. So this is called simplifying and combining like terms. Now let's apply them to the equations here on the left. So let's start with our first one here. We end up with an x in our first spot. So let's gather up everything that has an x attached to it. So we would have 8x. Well, this is minus 3, no x. Then we have a plus 4 here. So plus 4x. Nope, no x there. What about our next one here, which is minus 5x? Make sure you bring the minus sign in there. And then minus 7 at the end, no x. So that is everything that has an x to it. And then we also have to include everything that does not have this variable attached to it. So we have a minus 3 here, a minus 5 here, and a minus 7 there at the end. So now we have put every single piece of this equation into separate parts where we are going to add or subtract together the similar situations. So our 8x plus 4x plus 5x, we're just going to drop our variable of x down and then add the numbers together. So 8 plus 4 minus 5 gives me 7x. And then I have minus 3 minus 5 minus 7 gives me a total of minus 15. Well, that minus sign is going to come in there and change that positive to a negative. So we end up with 7x minus 15 as our simplification. So this entire equation will boil down to minus 7 or 7x minus 15 once you combine all your terms together. Alrighty, so that's our first one. So let's move on to our second one. Same procedure again. We're just going to look at our first one and then combine like terms. So we would have 4x as our first one. And then let's get everything that has an x attached to it. Well, this next one is x squared. It's not the same. This is x to the first power. So minus 6x, nope. X squared, nope. Well, we have a minus 3x here. So let's include the minus 3x. And then lastly, we have the minus 2. So don't include it. Alrighty. So let's move on to our next term. Our next term is x squared. So let's bring that in here, 3x squared. Now let's include everything that has a squared portion to it, or x squared. Minus 6x, nope. Well, there's x squared right there, so plus x squared. And then lastly, the minus 2, nope, don't include it. And then at the very end here, we are going to include stuff that doesn't have any variable attached to it of x. So we have minus 6x and then minus 2 here at the end. Alrighty, so our first portion here where we have 4x minus 3, we're just going to drop that variable down and just take 4 minus 3. That just gives me 1. Whenever you have 1 as in front of your variable, you do not write 1x. You just leave it as the variable itself. So it would just be x. And then plus, well, we have x squared here. And let's take our numbers of 3 plus, well, it doesn't have a number in front of it. So that would be 1. So it'd be 3 plus 1 gives me 4x squared. And then plus my second portion over here, which would be minus 6 minus 2, which gives me minus 8. Well, that minus sign is going to go over there and change that from positive to negative. And then technically the way you should write equations is the highest power should go in front. Well, x squared is the highest power we have here, so we'll just move that to the front of the equation of 4x squared plus x minus off 8. And that would be my simplification of this equation for number 2. So all of that boils down to that. Alrighty, so let's move on to our last one here. And once again, let's just start with our first one here. We have x cubed. So let's start with everything that has a cubed. Nope, that's squared. And then minus 6x cubed. Yep, so minus 6x cubed. 22x squared. Nope, it's a squared. And then plus 9x cubed. Alrighty, so I've included this portion and this portion thus far. I have 2 more that I have to do, and they are both x squared, so we combine those 2 together. So we would have 25x squared, and then minus off 22x squared, and that's all we have for our terms in this expression. So let's look at our first one. It's x cubed. Well, this will be 1 minus 6 plus 9 would give me 4x cubed, and then plus 25 minus off 22 would give me just 3 for my x squared portion. And that's all I would have as my simplification of this number 3 equation when combining like terms. That whole thing up there becomes 4x cubed plus 3x squared. So as you can see, as you're working through here, it doesn't matter how complicated the equation is. Once you combine like terms, get everything aligned together, these equations can be a lot less stressful to work with. So I hope this video was helpful. And if you want to see more problem solved this Friday, please check out the other videos on our channel. Also, if you haven't done so already, please like this video, leave a positive comment below, and subscribe to the channel because all of that does help us out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.